Your Sunday night home for the greatest DC comic show on YouTube is Fanboys Live and The Retro Review. How did John Constantine get a demon arrested?
I got nothing.
Don't know.
For possession. It's great to have you here joining us on Sunday night for Fanboys Live and the Retro Review. Man, do we have a great show lined up for you tonight. We would love to welcome, first and foremost, Tim, the comic collector, to the show. But we can't. An unexcused absence is logged in once again.
He's going to get expelled.
He is. Someone who had an excused absence from last week's show rejoins us right now. We welcome Comic Food 2814. How are you?
How's it going, everyone? Glad to be back.
Great to have you back, too. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
The usual cast of characters always includes Signature King Tony Fett. How you doing, Tony?
I'm good. Nice and warm here, so got to spend some time outside.
Awesome. That's great. And then we brought in a special guest. We're welcoming him back because he's been on Fanboys Live and the Retro Review before. This is Black Swamp Comics, a.k.a. Jaguar, a.k.a. Leo, a.k.a. Con Guy, because he was at a comic convention today and still made it back in time for our show. How you doing?
Doing great, man. Had a good time at the con. Snuck in a nap, and here I am.
Oh, nice. He's got his disco nap in. And by the way, too, I've left a link for Black Swamp Comics' YouTube page on the link in the description for this video. Also, Black Swamp Comics was a guest earlier this week on Original Art Hour. And while I didn't get a chance to watch the show live, I watched the rewind. Your OA was amazing, Leo.
Oh, thank you. It was awesome being on with an Original Art Hour with Javi. That was really fun.
Yeah, some great stuff. I love the stories that you told, too. There was some great Ramona Fradon art. I also love the story of how you ended up with a Black Panther piece when that isn't what you were going after. But even that piece, I wouldn't trade that for the world because I think it turned out so nice.
Right. It's happy accidents.
Yeah, exactly. So tonight, Leo, Black Swamp Comics, picked the book that we're going to retro review, which we'll get to in a little bit. First, we say hello to those that are joining us in our live chat. Comic Food 2814 is double dipping by showing up in the show and on the chat. We have John's Comics with Kids. He's headed to MegaCon in a few days, and we hope he has a great time. Christy is here. How are you doing? Hope you've had an exciting and fun weekend. I agree with John. It's great seeing Jag on some more shows. And Paul S. is with us, too, and he's welcoming you back, Foo. So if you're joining us on the rewind, we say hello to you as well. So, fanboys, how has everyone's weekend been?
Not long enough.
Yeah.
Putting it lightly, not long enough.
I hear you on that. So, as we segue into what's new in DC Comics land.
Oh, man. I guess the big rumor is that the new Batman has been secretly cast. But I'm going to put cold water on it right away, just because I don't think it fits. Jensen Ackles, I think that's how you say his last name, Ackles.
Interesting, from Supernatural.
Supernatural, and he was in The Boys. He played the version of Captain America. Forget what they called him. But
Soldier Boy.
Soldier Boy, that's right. But I remember James Gunn talking about they wanted a younger Bruce Wayne, and looking at some of the photos, like, he's not an old guy by any means, but he's not a young buck either. If he were to be cast as Batman, I would say he's Batman, like, in his prime. You know what I mean? Like, he's got it all figured out. You know what I mean? He's got all the bells and whistles. It's not like a Christopher Nolan Batman Begins kind of thing. Like, you know, I would say he's a younger version of the Ben Affleck Batman. But that's just me. Maybe he'd kill it, but I don't think he has it in the face, you know, in the young department. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about, but that's the big rumor that he's the new Bruce Wayne. But other than that, it's been pretty quiet on the home front, unless you count the cryptic James or Zack Snyder tweets that have been coming out. There's supposed to be a big announcement coming out here from Zack Snyder. What is it, April something? I think it's end of April, some kind of big announcement, and it's just said for Darkseid or something. So we'll see.
So
I
have
saw,
you
like, some of the hot
been
stuff.
excited, Tony, or is it kind of a little too soon, little salt in the wound, seeing the pictures of Lady Gaga as Harley?
Well, those are real? I didn't think they were real.
I don't
Okay.
know.
I don't know. Maybe they're real. I think she looks good as Harley, but as long as she's evil Harley Quinn, yeah, it's not gonna be a problem for me. But
Oh, okay.
it's this new like, oh, she's part of the Bat family now. Like, give her keys to the Bat Cave. Like,
Yeah.
no, that's the part that bothers me. But yeah, who knows? Who knows? Should be interesting. Isn't this her second movie? So she's
I
still
think so, yeah.
relatively new in terms of Hollywood.
Yeah, she did that country music movie, right?
Oh yeah, that's right, with Bradley Cooper. You're right.
Yeah.
I think she was nominated for some stuff for that
Oh, was she?
movie.
Okay.
Yeah,
Very cool.
so I haven't seen it, but I'm still kind of on the fence on this one. I feel like this could be it could be good or it could be really, really bad.
I wonder how they're gonna play like their introduction. Is she really gonna be like the therapist, like everything else, or are they gonna tweak it a little bit? I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I don't know if it's gonna break out like in like a West Side Story dance, and
Oh, that's right. I forgot there was
It
gonna be
is a
some musical
musical,
numbers.
isn't it?
because they did
Yeah.
say it was gonna be music. So I don't know.
This is gonna be bad. I already
that's-
don't want to see this movie.
I want to see her break into Poker Face.
It's just basically one gigantic Lady Gaga musical with
Right.
Joaquin Phoenix in the background, just dances the Joker for some reason.
Yeah, it's a
gonna be a
medley of
good
her
one.
hits.
Yeah, right. Yeah, she's singing her own songs.
Yeah, it's funny. Last week when we did Fanboys Live in the Retro Review, Tony was the only. Tony had seen the Shazam movie. I've seen it since. Leo and Fu, have you guys had the chance to see the movie yet?
I have not.
So you go to Cocaine Bear, but you don't go to Shazam?
I mean,
Honestly, Cocaine Bear sounds like a great movie. Just something to just watch and just kind of turn your brain off and enjoy.
I mean, it's a bear on cocaine.
Was it that kind of movie you could just kind of just shut your brain off and enjoy for what
Yes,
it is?
absolutely.
I love those movies.
Which was nice about it because we haven't had one of those in a while. It absolutely was.
Was it funny? It
It
seems
was
like it'd be
ridiculous. It was funny. Yeah.
Awesome. I
It
gotta
wasn't
check it out.
it wasn't the greatest movie ever by any means. I mean, it is what it is.
Really funny.
And Leo, what did you think of Shazam?
I thought it was honestly it felt like a lame duck because it's we're kind of in that weird space right now where one thing ends and then another thing's gonna begin. So it felt
Right.
like a little bit like some of the stuff didn't matter. However, it was fun. I think it was like more for like I think directed for the younger audiences, for kids and stuff. So
Yeah,
I think
that's a good point that you brought up. Like, a lot of people aren't going to go see this because they already announced it's over. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing. So, like, what's the point in them seeing
Yeah,
it? I
'cause
think they should have waited.
I think they're saying I think Flash is probably going to be where it starts, or you start to see what the future holds. So this is kind of like just kind of like something in between to hold us over
Yeah.
until then.
Yeah, it's like your team didn't make the playoffs, so what's the point in going to the games anymore?
Yeah, sort of that kind of feeling,
Yeah, you can get tickets for dirt cheap, but what's the point?
So
So I enjoyed
but
it despite having not the best movie experience when I went. I went on Tuesday and it was a 1:15 showtime, and I thought, well, the theater will be pretty quiet, which is why I wanted to go. And I showed up at about 1:04, 1:05, something like that. And I get there and the guy says, oh, we had a problem with the printing of the times. So the movie just started, but you haven't missed anything. It just started. I'll let you in for free. So I'm already going, because I like to be settled down with all of my snacks and know who's around me and everything, before those lights go down. So I begrudgingly order a popcorn and a soda, although I don't drink soda, popcorn and a beverage, and I go in. Well, I go to the soda section. The things that I drink that aren't soda, everything is out of order. It's only soda left. And I'm like, so I just get tap water. And I'm like, I paid $3.75 for tap water. But I don't want to talk about it because the movie's already going.
It's cheaper.
So I get in there, I sit down, and 3 times during the movie, they're next to me thinking that I'm the person who's ordered food that they're trying to deliver. And I love the movie, even though I missed a little bit I missed the whole first scene. I start with Freddy in the high school getting bullied. That's where I started the movie at.
Oh, you didn't miss much.
Yeah, and I love the movie. But then I got done, and I was that customer who asked, at least for my beverage to get taken care of, because it wasn't the best theater experience. So, but hello to Copy 801, who knows all about dealing with unhappy customers at movie theaters from his past. So,
Take their food. What kind of movie theater do you go to where you can order food? Is it like a restaurant?
No, I mean, they got
More
some of those
doing that
where you can
now.
order pizzas and they'll bring them into you and stuff.
Really?
Like little personalized
Like-
pizzas.
Yep.
Oh, like
So like a movie studio grill or something.
Yeah.
I've never even seen a theater like that before.
You
Our
can
theater's
get
cool
beer
because
at
it got
theater
like
now,
lazy
Tony.
boys. And it's like, yeah, like that's
I
it.
know down in Dallas they have it's called Movie Studio Grill, and you go in there and you can actually order and get alcoholic drinks and everything, and you'll have
Yeah.
a waiter come in and out, stuff like that.
Yeah, they have that at the
Hmm.
theater near me.
So
Really,
that's
man,
that's pretty cool.
that is cool.
I
I'm
have a
jealous.
question for you guys. So, where do you guys like to sit? Like,
All the
in
way
theater,
back,
you guys like sitting in
all the way back.
all the way back?
Yep.
Dead
I
middle.
don't like people
Dead
behind
middle.
me.
I like either all the way back or second to last row.
Okay, all right. I like the center right there where with the railings at and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah,
it
that's-
makes
yeah,
a
I can see
little
that.
Yeah.
footrest.
A little
So-
footrest.
My biggest thing is I don't want my neck to have to go like this or down like that. You know, as long as it's like straight in front of me. I'm
All the
good.
way back is perfect because you don't really have to do anything. You know. Plus, we got
Yeah.
those lazy boy chairs where it's like you can almost lay completely flat, which is bad because then you just fall asleep. But
Yeah,
It's-
the
it's-
center for sound. There you go.
the center for me better. I'm telling you, all the way back is where the party's at. You guys are missing it.
I think we all the front is the worst. I think.
Anything other than the front, yeah.
We had to sit in the front like one time, right? And like probably like 7 years ago or something with my son. And every time we go to the movie theater now, it's the same thing over and over. He's 15 years old. And the first thing, you want to go to the movies? No. Why not? Because I don't want to sit in the front. I'm like, then we won't sit in the front. Jeez. Like it's like traumatized them.
I had to sit in the second row once for a Lord of the Rings movie, and I was
Oh.
sick. But I promised my friend, like, you know, when it first got announced the date, she's like, "You'll go with me on opening day," and I'm like, "Yes." Who knew I was going to be sick as a dog during this movie? And at one point, I turned to her and I said, "Either I have to get up and leave, or you have to let me fall asleep because it's not going to be good if I don't do one or the other." And she's like, "Just sleep." So here's everyone at the opening of The Lord of the Rings. The entire theater is sold out, and I'm in the second row snoozing. And I missed about 45 minutes, and he still wasn't any further on his trip than he was when I fell asleep.
He's still walking. Like, jeez.
Exactly.
That's nuts. We went to a movie theater in Canada on their version of Thanksgiving. And some dude brought like a whole spread. He brought a whole turkey, mashed potatoes. Like I was just digging in and watching this movie. I was like, dude, I snuck in a can of pop. Like I felt like a jerk. This guy brings in dinner for the entire row, plus seconds maybe, you know? And just the smell just instantly started taking lids off of stuff. I was like, how do you even sneak that in? Or do you just like walk through it and just like kick me out? I dare you. I've got money. You know, what do you do? Yeah.
We're at like the people don't really care. Like you just come in with like big coat, just jiggling all kinds of stuff, and I don't think they'll say
Yeah, you're
anything.
walking and you're sloshing. You know,
Yeah, you just bring out like a gallon of juice or something, just pour it up.
It's always funny to watch what people do at the movie theaters. I remember seeing this one guy, he sit there and he ate his popcorn and I'm not just the beginning, like all the way down to the end, face first. He didn't use his hands, and you're just sitting there watching. And meanwhile, his wife is also like picking them out and eating them. I'm like, his face has been in there, you know? It's
we went to go. My friends and I went to go see Black Panther, and those are the movies I really don't like. Marvel movies, I'll go to see with my friends. 'Cause I don't care so much about them. And we had snuck in some adult beverages, and my friend puts down. Keep in mind, he's huge. He's like a semi-pro basketball player. He's got these long legs. He's setting them down because the floor is concrete. And the quietest part of the movie, he like, I don't know what happened, but it just hits it and then rolls, hits that, rolls. It just kept going. Got like halfway down. I'm just like, oh, geez. And it was packed movie theater too. Like, everybody knew it was the idiots in the back.
That's why I sit in the back and you all the beers.
Yeah, right.
Funny. Hello to Man Cave Comics. I miss you too. I've been thinking about you lately, so I'm so happy that you jumped in to see us. It's great to see you here. Southern Comic Geek is here. Fu was a furry, he says. And then salute to the immortal Biggie Shack. Salute. Good to see you guys there. So any other news going on, Tony?
Not really. That's kind of it. The Zack Snyder stuff, which I even heard some stuff about that. You know, it's rumored it's just going to be an NFT, which if that's true, that would not be good because of all the hype they dumped into it, and it's just a silly NFT. I mean, I don't collect them, but I'll judge people who do. But
hey, speaking of the Shazam movie, though, I did notice, and I looked again today. I don't see any Shazam toys in Walmart or the other big box stores. What is up with that?
I don't know if they ever came out, to be honest with you. My movie theater didn't even get the comics that came out with the movie. They had no clue what I was talking about. And it's an AMC theater, and they put it on the website. Hey, you know, if you go during this time, you'll get the cool comic books or whatever. So I brought 2 bags and boards. I figured my wife was going to get one too. Nope, they had zero clue what we were talking about. So it seems like this movie was pretty poorly marketed, in my opinion. Or maybe a lot of people realize, you know, hey, it's the end of the Zack Snyderverse. Who cares? You know what I mean? But I wish I would have gotten some. Saw some on eBay for like $50, so I'll just wait for it to end up in a dollar bin somewhere.
Yeah. Well, as we segue into our retro review, tonight we let Black Swamp Comics Jaguar, aka Leo, pick the story. And you picked something really different and fun. Well, fun in a different sort of sense, just that it's so dark. It's much darker than what we usually do in Fanboys, and that's what I think is kind of fun. Tell us why that you picked this Hellblazer storyline for us to do tonight.
I don't know. I just said, hey, you guys want to do like a John Constantine story? And they're like, yeah. And I decided to go with this one because this one's probably like the most iconic John Constantine stories, the most well known is the Dangerous Habits. I think that's the one, and it really captures who John Constantine is. And this is also a lot of it was taken as inspiration for the Keanu Reeves movie. So I don't know. I just really like John Constantine. I think it's dark, but it's also the way Garth Ennis writes. It's kind of funny too. So
yeah, it's a good choice. Tony, if you don't mind pulling up the assist, I'll get us kicked off. We're going back to 1991. This is, if I remember correctly, is Garth Ennis' first thing that he wrote for Hellblazer.
Yeah, this is actually also his first American published work. He was working on other stuff, but this was the first comic book published here in the United States by Garth Ennis. And he was young too. I think he might have been like 19 and 20. So I'm pretty surprised at the quality of his writing, even at that age.
We might have a problem here, Mr. Lasso. Same problem last week. Like I found the story, but I gotta check my ad blocker here. Because you know, I don't want to put that on your channel. If I put it up, you know, you'd be in trouble. Oh, here we go. Perfect. Someone's got me.
That's cool. If you want to jump back to 41 there, I'll get us going on the retro review tonight. So Very cool, intriguing cover that makes me wonder what's going on. And as we start out the story, we have John Constantine inside a cafe, and he's talking about, everyone wakes up, gets on with life, everything carries on for the living, except for him. I'm dying, he says. And we see it's John Constantine inside Frank's cafe. And this begins the Dangerous Habits Part 1 story. It's the beginning of the end. And he starts to say, this isn't how it's supposed to end for him, not for John Constantine. He's the one, who steps from the shadows in the trench coat and the cigarettes and takes care of the demons and goes to hell. He walks his path alone. Who would want to walk with him? Then he lights up another cigarette and he wonders, is this really the way that his path is supposed to end, like this? Is it? He should die as he lived. Someday I would push it too far, get too clever. The jaws of hell would snap shut. And for once, I'd be a little bit too slow. My death would be unique. But that's not how he's going to die. And he's thinking, it just goes over in his mind, I'm dying. And he remembers when he woke up maybe about a week ago, and he had this strange feeling, and he didn't exactly know what's going on. He goes into his bathroom sink, starts to cough up. At first, it's a little bit of blood. And then as he carries on, he realizes it's not even blood. It's not even phlegm that he's coughing up. It's not liquid. It was like he just spat up a piece of himself into the sink. And then he starts running through the possibilities. Is it because he has demon blood in him? Is it because he had a twin brother, that dissolved into him? Is this part of his twin brother that is coming out? He just can't, he's in shock that he's dying. And he said, I shouldn't go looking for weirdness when the answers are so simple. But even now, I know the truth. It seems incredible. And then we cut to him going to the doctor's office, and he's told to have a seat, and he knows that the results aren't good because the doctor didn't make some type of joke. It's bad news. The doctor tells him he has cancer. It's lung cancer. They double and triple checked, and it's terminal. So that's the cards that he's dealt. And he kind of stops listening from that point and thanks the doctor and leaves. He's just in complete shock. He continues to smoke nonetheless. We cut back to him at the cafe, still thinking about what's going on. What else is there to do? I'm going to die. No more life, no more staring out across the city, getting pissed or strolling around the world, hunting down monsters or seeing his friends. And he goes into a dream mode here, and he sees this light, this shining light that's calling out to him, and it's calling John. And he realizes that it's Astra from Newcastle. And but he's like, but you died because of me. I got you killed. And she's like, yeah, but you're dead too, aren't you? Now you know what it's like. And he's like, wait a minute, I don't want this. And she's like, well, John, no one wants this. Your friends didn't want this. Then we see his friends, and all of those are people that he kind of feels that he's responsible for their death. And they are pretty much saying, you are responsible for our death, what you did. And they start, to not attack him so much, but they're playing on his mind, and they have him questioning things. And as this goes on, all of a sudden we realize this isn't a dream that he's just had. And he realizes he dreamed this entire sequence. So he gets up, he's back to the bathroom again, throwing up and vomiting. In the meantime, we have someone at the cafe just watching John, and he realizes it's not a nightmare. What John's going through, John realizes it's not a nightmare. He's dying. So he goes to talk to a friend of his who's a doctor who wants a favor. He says it's for an aunt of his that isn't doing well, and he wants to tour the cancer ward of their hospital. So this doctor takes him through there, and he sees how dismal this is. And a patient calls him over, calls him, doesn't know him, calls him Blondie, come over here. And it's a man who introduces himself by the name of Matt. And they talk a little bit, but John Constantine feels a little bit of a connection to this guy. So he's honest with him and says, look, this is me. It's not my aunt that I'm touring this facility for. It's for me, and this is what's going on. He's not going to lie to this guy. They befriend him. John Constantine says he'll be back to see him, although he knows that neither one of them really has much time left. And the guy asks for a cigarette, and John Constantine gives him one. And we cut back to him in the cafe again, just thinking about what's going on. And he remembers getting a phone call from his doctor, Dr. Ellis. And he's hoping that the doctor's calling to say, look, you know, we double check stuff. You don't have cancer, but that's not what he's saying. We're noticing something irregular in your blood. We want more of it. And John Constantine gets very angry because he knows it's demon blood, his demon in his blood. And he knows that they just want to test it. They want to weaponize it. It will end up in the military eventually. And he smashes the phone down and he takes off and he starts walking. And that's how he ends up at the cafe. So we have the owner of the cafe who started to walk up to him and says, you know, you have some bloody nerve. You've been sitting here for 2 hours and only buying a cup of tea that you haven't even drank. And John Constantine's like, it's gone cold. You know, you don't expect me to drink cold tea, do you? And the owner says, well, it's bound to go cold if you leave it for 2 hours, isn't it? And he kind of says, no chance for a refill, huh? And you see the look on his face before he essentially gets kicked out. And as he starts to walk home, he knows one thing, that he's going to die. And that's how my issue wraps up. I'll say hello to a few people that have joined us too before we go into the second part. Gore Vidal is here. Hi, Gore. How are you doing? Great to have you here. And James is here. Warlord is here. And he notices that Fu is here too. So, Leo, if you want to take over with the second part, go for it.
All right. So in this next issue, first page, we find John Constantine on a boat and he is traveling. We see he's not feeling very well. It's a little queasy. He can't finish his pint of lager. Well, anyway, he's just kind of sitting there. And then there's this guy who comes over and, you know, sits down right next to him and he just kind of throws this platter of like a bunch of greasy, you know, seafood in front of him. And that really makes him, you know, barf. So you see Constantine barf over the edge. Turns out that that guy was like some kind of unloader or something. So whenever they get off, the guy's like, "Hey, somebody flattened my tires," and and that's when we see John Constantine give a little smug look to the to the audience and stuff. Because I love that part. That's really classic Constantine. Even when he's dying, he's still petty. So we see him catch a cab. He's on his way to like a lighthouse. Turns out they're in Ireland or Scotland, I think. I think it's Ireland. And they're head out over to this lighthouse, and he's there to see his friend Brendan, who he has a history with. Apparently, Brendan is also affiliated with the arts of the dark arts and magic arts and stuff like that. So they go in and they start having a couple of drinks and start chatting up, catching up, you know, bringing up old relationships as well. And so let's see. Yeah, they kind of just talk about their old relationships, and then I think he at some point brings up let's see. I don't want to get too ahead on it. So yeah, so Brendan shows him he has a great wine collection. He takes him over to his cellar, lets him have a little bit of it, and it's just two guys just kind of catching up, drinking, and it turns out that apparently Brendan knows how Jesus turned water into wine, and he has a secret to it, and so he did it. So he does it, but he turns it into beer. This is like an important part for later in the issues. And so they're kind of sitting there chatting it up. Supposedly, you know, this is the best pint of beer John Constantine's ever had. And they're just kind of, you know, getting loose and having fun with it. So I think finally it starts getting to the point where they start asking each other. So John tells them, "Hey, the reason I'm here is because I need your help. I have lung cancer. Can you help me out?" And so Brendan replies to him as, "Hey, I was kind of hoping the same thing from you because I'm dying from liver failure and from all the probably all the alcohol and stuff." And so they kind of find the irony in it, and they share a laugh that they're kind of both dying. So they kind of try to turn it into the best of it and just kind of enjoy their night together. Brendan kind of feels like this is going to be it for him. He feels like this is going to be his last night. So yeah, so they kind of just get plastered and just have a good time. And then at some point, Brendan does die. He just kind of passes away. And while John Constantine is making his way out, a figure shows up, and it's handsome, dark figure and everything. And this person's like, "I'm not here for you, John Constantine. I'm here, for your friend Brendan." So this is known as, I think, the first of the fallen, and they don't call him Lucifer, and I think it's because at the same time you had Sandman going on, and that had like a Lucifer in it as well. So this was more the first of the fallen. So, anyways, turns out that Brendan sold his soul to the first of the fallen in exchange for the greatest wine collection of all time. And the first of the fallen thought that was kind of cheeky, so he's like, "Yeah, I'll take you up on that." So now he had come to collect. However, there was a part of the contract that said that the day he died, he needed to come in and collect the soul before midnight. After midnight it expired, it was no good. And so as he's making his way down to the cellar to retrieve his soul, I think he's got like 5 minutes left. And John Constantine just kind of follows him down there, just like, "Oh, I just got to make sure this exchange goes on right." It's like so he's like, but before he collects his soul, John Constantine has an idea. He's like, "Hey, something I've never done is have a beer with the devil. What do you say? Can you just make that wish for me? Just share a pint with me." So he pours the devil one of that really good wine or good beer, and it's kind of like he's trying to flatter him, right? And turns out that since that beer was made from holy water, it damages the first of the fallen, like hurts them. So then Count Constantine smacks him over the head with the bottle, and that gives him enough time to where time passes, and he can save Brendan's soul. And that's how it kind of ends. But John Constantine knows that by doing this, he kind of sealed his own fate because he's dying, and he knows that eventually he's gonna have to meet with this guy, and he knows that this guy's gonna, you know, make his afterlife as horrible as possible. But this is where we see kind of a little bit of what we really like about John Constantine, and that even though he like uses people and all that stuff, every once in a while he has like these moments of altruism where he looks out for his friends and he looks out for his buddies. So really like this issue, and that's how my issue ends, with John Constantine just kind of knowing that he screwed himself over.
Interesting. As we segue to the next two issues that Fu is going to do, I'll say hello to Kenneth Bird, who stopped by.
All right. On to issue number 43. And this was my first Hellblazer that I read. It's really good. All right. So this one starts off with Constantine basically dealing with the fact that he's got cancer, right? And yeah, there's this really cool, I don't even know what this is supposed to be. I guess this is the cancer within him. I don't know, or the demon maybe. But this kind of cool splash here: Friends in High Places, Dangerous Habits, Part 3. So yeah, again, he's here kind of contemplating the cancer, his symptoms: headaches, nausea, spitting blood. He's tired. He knows that his time has come, or is coming very quickly here. And that's when his friend shows up here. Now I have a question. Is this Lady Death?
No,
I don't
but I will
think so.
say
No.
this scene where he's sitting on the bench
Yeah.
and she shows up, it feels a lot like Death's first appearance, but no, she's a succubus. She's actually like a demon.
Okay. All right. Well, as I said, this is the first time me reading some of these stories, but yeah, so his friend shows up and he, again, offering her a cigarette. She's quit. But they begin talking about what just occurred at the end of the last book, him hitting or providing the holy water to the first of the fallen, then hitting him with the bottle. And she's basically saying, like, you idiot, like, you're dying here, like that's where you're going, and he's waiting for you, and he's really unhappy. It's not often that he gets those that he hates the most delivered down to him. But again, it seems that Constantine's previous sins are so great that he knows there's no question that that's where that he's going there, and that this guy, the first of the fallen, is not too happy with him, and is going to make him suffer in pain basically for forever. So so Constantine's like, kind of like, hey, is there anything you could do? And she's like, no. So he's kind of left on his own. I think she does give him one bit of advice to go talk to, I think he's called the Arrogant One, or something like that.
Yeah. Snob. Yeah.
The Snob. Thank you. The Snob. And he's like, what? I don't want to go talk to the Snob. You can see he's all angry here. But eventually their conversation ends, and he kind of realizes that, yes, that is in fact where he's going to have to go. Okay, so then he goes over back to the hospital here to talk to this guy again in the bed. And again, they're talking about cancer, their kind of situation. I think this is the one. They share a drink together. Again, just talking about their disease and things like that, the cancer. And I don't want to jump ahead. I want to make sure this is where this conversation occurs. It may be later. Okay. So what we're really talking about is his time in the war, I guess, and talking about this older guy in the World War, and how his friend thought that like their whole group was behind him, and he went running out, to the enemy, only to realize he was by himself, turned around trying to run back, and got himself hit with the artillery, basically. So they're sharing these stories. There is another a good story that it must be on the next one, I think. So let's see. So then he goes walking off to go talk to the Snob. He has to kind of he does this like weird like Jedi mind trick on the butler here that doesn't want to let him in because he's not dressed appropriately and he's not on the invite list. But he just kind of says, oh, I'm dressed appropriately and I'm on the list. And the guy's like, oh, okay, and lets him in. So he goes to this fancy party. He's definitely not dressed for the occasion, and goes over and talks to this one guy here. Basically, it sounds like everybody at this party is pretty evil. And if I'm not mistaken, it sounds like they are also potentially have lived much longer on this earth than they rightfully should have. So they have some way of extending their life, it sounds like. Ultimately, he goes to have this conversation with the Snob here. And really what he's after, they're not friends, but he thinks that this guy owes him a favor. And the Snob's like, yeah, you're right, I do. But here's the thing. We don't believe in debts. So, I'm just not going to pay up. And ultimately what Constantine is after is some kind of cure for his cancer, because he knows where he's going. And so he can't prevent that. The only thing that he can really do is at least extend his life some to, so that's what he's after. But this guy's like, no, I agree. We owe you one, but no, we don't believe in debts. So Constantine gets pretty upset. they don't like his attitude and behavior at this party, and essentially he gets kicked out. Let's see. Yeah, I'm kind of breezing through it, but you're getting the gist. He goes over to the bar and proceeds to get wasted again there. That seems to be a pattern for Constantine. And again, he's still trying to figure out, what it is he's going to do now that he's gotten himself into this situation. And that's where this one ends. Yeah, he's basically come up with this plan, essentially. So we'll move on to issue 44. All right. At this point, he realizes that he's beginning to get the shakes. He's definitely not feeling very well, and he's also out of cigarettes. And he assumes that what'd you call him? The First of the Fallen is probably laughing at him, watching all of this go down. So he's there at his, I believe it's his father's grave, is it? And he's talking to his father in the ground. And basically, the conversation he has with him is basically determining that he's going to do this his way, one way or another. He's going to go out his way. So he shows up at, I believe it's his sister's house. This whole issue is basically him saying his goodbyes. Again, he's going to go out his way. So he shows up to his sister's house, talks to her about her husband some, more or less says their goodbyes, and is concerned that her daughter is not going to have the chance to say goodbye to him and will have to be on her own. His sister doesn't know exactly what John's up to, but she understands it's things she shouldn't ask about, so they kind of say goodbye. Then he goes over to, it seems like it's a friend of his, and they get in this cab to have this conversation. Again, John's trying to say goodbye, but he's not the most tactful, and kind of criticizes the guy's cab, his small little car. And that's where we learn that, basically he's in this small car because of some bad advice Constantine gave him in the past. He lost all of his money, and this was all he could afford. So he's not too happy with Constantine. Constantine's like, okay, sorry, gets out of the car and leaves. At that point, this guy finds that he left him a note, basically apologizing for everything, saying that he knows he owes him one. I think he leaves him some money, or he paid off the bookies, basically, that this guy owed. And basically thanks him for being a friend and apologizes him for being such a bad friend himself. So, and says goodbye. Next up, again, he's continuing to get sick, thinking about the end of his life here. He goes over to talk to this old guy in the hospital again. Yeah, this is the scene I was thinking about. And they start having this conversation about what it was like as to this guy's dealings with the doctor, I guess, and how there was let's see, he came in with this problem because he couldn't go to the bathroom. He was constipated, basically, and comes in, and the doctor's like, all right, sure. And he's expecting to get a laxative or something. And instead, this nurse comes in, has him, get undressed. He's like, what? And that's when he realizes that they need to put a camera up his backside. And he wasn't too fond of it. Wasn't very happy. But Constantine's like, well, they put a camera up there. What'd they see? And the guy goes, bowel cancer. And so they have a good laugh over that, which was fun. It was interesting writing right there. Definitely Garth Ennis. So the guy realizes he's saying goodbye. They're not going to see each other again. So he takes time to get up, says goodbye to Constantine, and Constantine moves along over to London here. Was that Westminster Abbey, Big Ben? Goes over there, and he goes to this place. it's basically his old apartment, I guess. And it's kind of funny because he's not even surprised that not even the squatters would want to live there because there's so much evil in this apartment of his. So he goes up there and he starts doing some kind of ceremony, some kind of magical spell thing. And he talks to 3, I would assume, demons. The first of which I believe is probably this first of the fallen guy. And they effectively make a deal. We don't know exactly what deal is made, but again, they just kind of go back and forth. It's actually kind of oddly civil. And they make this deal, but we don't know what it is. Following that, he calls up 2 others, and he's making a deal with these 2 other spirits or demons or whatever. And we get the sense that Constantine is up to something, and that the 3 of them don't know that he has made deals with each of them. So it gets a little bit more interesting here. Again, he's drinking some more. And at this point, it gets really bizarre because he grabs this razor and proceeds to attempt to take his own life. And he's got about 5 minutes to go. And that's when this fallen guy shows up, kind of looking all weird, like Jesus almost, saying that he just wants to watch. And that's where this one ends. So next, The Sting.
Wow.
This
Take it
was
away, Tony.
Yeah, this was a good issue. For those of you who've seen the Constantine movie, this is your ending scene right here. This is almost a shot-for-shot remake. Of course, they had to tweak it a little bit, but it's pretty funny. And well, I'll get to the funny part. So yeah, John cuts himself, and we have that iconic scene, where he comes down, he's dripping that black goo, and it's like acid or whatever. It's like eating the floor or whatever. And every time when I started reading this, I could hear that guy's voice in my head who's playing the devil, and I cannot remember his name, but I hear that voice when I read this one. Just like in the movie, he's like, "Hey, I'm here to watch. This is awesome. You've killed yourself. Your soul has come with me." And he's like, "Hey, yeah, hold on a second. I actually, you're gonna have to get in line here, and I'll tell you why." And as soon as he says that, the demon number 1 pops up. Poof. Hey, what's going on, John? Oh, cutting yourself, killing yourself. Sweet. Hey, remember that deal we had? Like, we're still good, right? And comes the next demon. He's like, "John, my boys, like, awesome. I can't wait to torture you because we had a deal." And they're all everyone's looking at each other. They're starting to figure it out. When in comes the third demon, and he's like, "John, high five. Like, you're killing yourself. Awesome. Remember that? Oh, what are you guys doing here?" And they're all starting to figure it out that John just pulled a quick one on the devil and some 3 demons, which is hilarious, by the way. And the deal that they had struck was John was going to give them his soul. Well, it wasn't a group thing. It was supposed to be a one-on-one thing. So like, "Hey, demon number 1, I'm going to give you my soul. In return, you're going to let my buddy's soul go." And the devil's like, "Hey, listen, like, no, that's not part of the thing. We're not going to do that." But just like kind of in the movie here, God's like, "Hey, you know what you did was kind of really cool." There's a really cool scene. I'm going to skip a whole bunch. I'm sorry, because I know we're short on time. Down on page, where is it? What page number? Oh, they don't number their pages. Do you see that? Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep up, but I didn't read this.
That's
one.
okay. Yeah, that's okay. There's really aren't any page numbers. So John Constantine is like seconds away from death. And I think it's a couple pages down. You'll start to see his soul kind of like, or body rising, and they build like this little cage thing to like keep him contained. And that's we get that really iconic thing, like where the devil reaches inside of his ribs, and he's like, "Listen, if I can't have you, you, sir, are going to live, and I'm going to cure your cancer, and I'm going to give you another shot at screwing up. So that's exactly what he does. He cures his cancer. He heals him so he doesn't die. Cuts another deal with the devil, and poof, out of the ground comes a brand new reborn John Constantine. Of course, he's got his leather jacket back on, and he's like, "Listen, I want to kill you so bad, but I know there's a whole lot of other people getting in line to kill you, but remember, I'm going to the front of that line." And the very last, I don't know if you can show this on Lasso's channel, the very last page. So I don't want to get Lasso in trouble. Maybe just take my word for it. But he gives the devil a, pick a finger, and he picks a finger and he says, up yours to the devil. And that kind of ends that issue. Fun issue to read. This one was a good one. Because it was like what Leah was saying, this is totally inspired from, the movie inspired. I got that backwards. The movie took inspiration from here. And it was awesome. Like this was, like I said, a shot-for-shot remake. It was so cool.
And I felt like it also had like a lot of tension because he would cover the wound and then he would sometimes he would take his hand off to speed it up so they would know that time's ticking while they were trying to bicker amongst themselves what they were doing.
Yeah.
It was great issue.
It sure was.
So then for the final arc or final issue in the arc, we have Constantine. He's brand new, but again, he's kind of just drinking by himself, and he knows that he's even though he's won this one time, he knows he's pretty much screwed from here on out because they're all going to be watching him, and they're going to be waiting for him to mess up. Like if he messes up, they're going to be on him. And for him, they're really for him, there's no turning back anymore. Like now he can't repent or anything like that because he's pretty much sold himself 3 times. So yeah, he goes out, starts to clear his head and stuff like that, and he runs into Kit, who is kind of like his love interest, I believe, from before. I know they have a history together. She also knew Brendan. They meet up for coffee, and they share stories about that. He lets her know that Brendan passed away and stuff like that. Um, so basically, it's just kind of him, um, having reminiscing this story with him. Then he goes to go see his friend. Let's see. I think I might be jumping too far ahead. Yeah, so basically a lot of the issue is just him and Kit, sharing the day, sharing companionship. We get to see their relationship with them. Um, of course, Constantine is always kind of like self-sabotaging, always carrying like some kind of guilt or something. Anyways, he goes back to see his friend in the hospital. And this is where he's talking to his friend and stuff like that, and he starts to feel guilty because he's like, everything, all the wrong things that I've done, and I've gotten a second chance, but this guy, he's a good dude, and he's gonna die anyways. So he starts kind of feeling guilty about it, and then his friend does projectile vomit, and uh, the nurses come in and they pass out. And it turns out that he was right. Every time the nurse walked in, he hated the nurse because every time she walked in, she had like bad news for him. So I guess in a way this was like ironic, last ironic moment. So again, we just kind of see, you know, how it ends. Like even though Constantine has a second chance, the guilt that he now carries from him getting a second chance, it kind of makes him miserable. So and that's where we see like throughout him like walking in the rain and kind of feeling bad for himself like that. So and that's how it ends for this first arc for Garth Ennis. It kind of just wraps it up to hey, you won, but he's still not happy. He's still kind of miserable. And uh, yeah, that's the end of this Dangerous Habits first storyline from Garth Ennis.
So for me, like Fu, I had never read a Hellblazer comic till now, and I was really happy that you picked this out because I myself enjoyed it a lot. I thought it was nice to see. It wasn't so much like a supervillain, which is what we're used to talking about every week when we review a story. I'll do 4 out of 5 for me as my pick. I'd like the rest of you to go around and give your thoughts and recaps on this story.
I would agree. 4 out of 5. I really enjoyed it. I have read some Garth Ennis stuff before, and it was very good. And this, yeah, I mean, it did. Once I saw it was him, it didn't surprise me. In fact, I was I was at my wife's shop, kind of reading this while she was working, and we were talking about this about how you can tell the difference of a good writer. I mean, I can read like tons of these comics, especially the moderns, and they don't catch me. But this one is like a genre that I normally would not be drawn to, like the whole demon and stuff like that. That's not really me. It didn't matter. It was good writing, and it grabbed me immediately. I loved it.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and go 4 out of 5. One, because I really enjoyed John Constantine as a character, and I like Garth Ennis' writing style. So this is a no-brainer for me. So 4 out of 5, easy.
And for me, I'm gonna go with 4 out of 5. I think if I was to pick on anything really, is that sometimes it was very like John Constantine talked a lot to himself. I liked it because it gave it like a lot of like that noir narration feel to it, which I really enjoy. But a lot of times it was very lengthy, and I feel like later on in the run, Garth Ennis kind of like he streamlines it, and he's gets better at it. I think at really voicing John Constantine, and I think once we get like there's an issue where Steve Dillon comes on, and that's like the first time with Steve Dillon and Garth Ennis work together on an issue, and you can just kind of see that chemistry between the guys just kind of like really stick and pick it out. So I really enjoyed it, and I'm really amazed at how young Garth Ennis was when he wrote this.
Absolutely.
Very nice. So yeah, I think we had a really good story that you picked out, Leo. So thanks for sharing that one and picking that one out for us. I appreciate it. At this point, we'll start talking about what's coming up on our channels in our book show portion, and I'll begin. So this past week, my comic book editions video that I dropped was about when Comic Fu and I hung out together in person, like real life friends. And I showed some of the books that I picked up when I was with Fu. Fu AOK'd me a couple books. I showed those too. And then I had some omnibuses that I recently added, some courtesy of NX7062, who was kind enough to go to Ollie's for me and pick up some omnibuses because I don't have an Ollie's by me. So I was very excited about that, and that's what I showed and shared this past week on my channel. I also had the back issue of the week. All this month I've been saluting Women's History Month, and Harley Quinn was featured this week, and it's up to, Tony, you're going to love this, it is up to 13 views. That's pretty awesome.
And all 13 were Tony.
Yes. And you put that in perspective, my Lois Lane one had 1K views. So Harley is just at 13. I don't mean 13K, I just mean 13. So that's pretty awesome, I think. And I hit 700 subscribers, which was...
Again.
Yeah, again. I hit it again. So I was very happy, and it looks like it's going to stick. So that's a good thing. Coming up this week on my channel, I'm going to show you... A few weeks ago, I showed a Marvel Key comic book that I wasn't even chasing that I added to my collection. This week, I'll show you the DC equivalent of it. It's a Bronze Age key that I always wanted, but I never thought I'd be able to get. So I'm going to share that in my comic book editions video dropping Tuesday. Tomorrow, there's the final back issue of the week saluting Women's History Month that I'll be sharing as well. So all of that is coming up on my channel. As for a book show, I thought, well, we're doing something John Constantine, so let's do this Deceased, A Good Day to Die variant by Carrie Andrews, which shows Wonder Woman and John Constantine. Although I have to be honest with you, when I ordered this, I thought it was Wonder Woman and Steve Trevor on the cover. So it wasn't, but that's okay. It's interesting that neither one of them, from what I remember, I know Wonder Woman isn't even in this story, but she's on this variant cover, and it got my money. So I guess they win in the long run. So that's my book show. We'll go around clockwise and see what everyone has going on their channels and book shows, starting with Comic Food 2814.
All right. Well, this past week on my channel, you can also see the road trip haul that I brought back from my meeting with Magic Lasso and also Tim the Comic Collector. So that, and of course, I've met Tony a few times in the past, so that makes all the fanboys for me. It was a lot of fun. But this week I should have a new mystery box unboxing video coming out from Doghouse Comics. And then I've also got my weekly comic finds videos. For the book show, you can probably imagine I was looking to pull out my Swamp Thing. I forget the number offhand, but the first John Constantine, right? I was going to pull that out for the book show, but I knew Tony was going to want to pull out his instead. So I'll let Tony share his. Instead, I thought what I would do is show off. And this is going to be weird because these actually are technically DC comics. You ready? But another one of Garth Ennis's work that you probably all know, but may not have realized it was DC. And that is The Boys #1. This is Wildstorm Comics for, I think it was like the first 5 or 6 issues, which is a DC imprint. So the first 5 or 6 issues of The Boys technically were DC, and this is by Garth Ennis. And then, of course, issue number 3 is the first appearance of the 7. So probably most of you have seen the TV show on Amazon. It's a lot of fun, very much not for kids, but yeah, this is where it comes from. And yeah, even it Wildstorm. And then I think it switches over to, what is it? Dark Horse or something like that. It switches to another publisher, but there you go.
Well, I'm not going to pull that out because I don't have one.
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot.
Yeah, you forgot. Nothing has changed since you left. Nothing at all. But I am going to, of course, it's Constantine, so I gotta pull out some Constantine signatures. I got this one from Ray Fakes, New 52, issue number 1. So that's cool. Thought I can probably get this signed by Jeff Lemire. He's going to be in town for a con here this year, so I don't know, maybe. And then, of course, I got this really cool John Constantine poster from my LCS. It's the Tom Taylor run. I forget Hellblazer Rise and Fall, and this is with the Black Label run. So that's pretty cool. I got to find a place to put this because it's super cool, and I want to put it and show the whole world. But coming up on my channel, content-wise, I got some shorts. I have a haul video coming out on Monday. My LCS did me dirty and had a whole bunch of runs together in their back run area. So, of course, I'm a sucker for a complete run. So, I just went to town. But so stay tuned for that.
That's cool. I want to say hello as well to the art chemist who has joined us.
Yes.
Thanks for stopping by. So, Black Swap Comics, tell us about your channel, what's going on there, and a book show. I'll also remind everyone, too, that if they're not subscribed to your channel, that there is a link in the description for this video.
Yeah, so my channel, not really much going on right now. That we have the only thing I really do consistently every month is Poison Ivy reviews. I've been trying to cover a lot of the Poison Ivy, having a lot of fun with that G. Willow Wilson run, and really cool. Other than that, I just kind of do random videos here and there. Might do one on Cleveland Fan Expo, which I attended today. Other than that, I'm more active on Instagram and doing shorts and doing reels and just having a great time doing all those stuff. So, and for my book show, I brought Hellblazer number 49. So this is probably my favorite issue from the Hellblazer series with Garth Ennis. Steve Dillon is on this, and I believe that this is their first time that they work together. And like I said, it's very awesome. This is actually a Christmas story, where Constantine and one of his buddies cheer up an old, like they call him the Lord of Dance, like an old Christmas spirit, and it's very hearty. I love Garth Ennis's focus on friendships and stuff like that. Like I really enjoy that. So I just wanted to show that because it's probably my favorite Christmas issue.
Very nice. Cool. So that brings us to the end of this Fanboys Live in the Retro Review. Anyone have anything else they want to talk about or make sure that we touch base on?
Yeah, I like Jag's background there. He's got all the Justice League Dark characters.
Yeah,
Just
I do
kinda-
have a
There it is.
Yeah.
37.
There it is, right there, and it's got a Doorway to Nightmare #1 right next to it. Demon.
Yep.
Yeah, we just did that one. First Zatanna, IC, Swamp Thing.
Yeah.
First solo Zatanna.
Pretty sure pretty soon I'm gonna have like a pentagram in here and candles and stuff like that. So.
It's live streaming to a different audience, I guess. You know, whatever.
Yeah.
Very nice.
I gotta go, guys.
Yeah, right.
Well, it's been a great show. Black Swamp Comics, Leo, thank you so much. I know that you had a busy day with going to the convention and you still found the time to get your disco nap in and come on our show and to be part of it. You were sensational again, and we look forward to having you back on again. So thanks for spending some time with us tonight.
Thank you guys for having me. It was fun. Thank you.
For everyone else, we hope you have a healthy, successful, fun week ahead of yourself. We look forward to you visiting with you for the greatest DC comic show on YouTube again next week, Fanboys Live and the Retro Review. And as Christy says, good night, everyone. Bye.